So, as someone who has played games for a while now, I have noticed a trend with kids these days. There is a sub-community of gamers who are more interested in retro gaming instead of new games. And by itself it's totally fine, of course. I mean, I myself play some older games sometimes. But the thing is that this retro culture has a problem. And the problem is kids. When it comes to children in general, I will consider myself very tolerable of them. But what irritates me is that when you have these children going onto the internet and trying their damnedest to fit in. And this is very noticeable when you look at the retro gaming community. You have these children, you know, inspired by retro channels like FGN or Classic Game Room. And what happens then is that they try to copy them. And keep in mind, when I say kids, I mean, you know, children from the age of 8 to 14. At least those are the ages I personally often see in the retro community. And the problem with these children is that they really don't know any better, since they're kids obviously. What you can usually see with these children is that they usually make like these extremely shitty reviews. And then afterwards they get lazy and start doing rant videos. And I'm not saying that, you know, rant videos in general are lazy. I mean, I'm doing one right now. But when kids do them, it's always bad. And what their videos always boils down to is just them complaining that there is too much first-person shooters on the market or microtransactions. And these children never understands the subject matter. And it's always like, I dislike microtransactions because my favorite YouTuber said so. And they are always biased for Nintendo. Seriously. Most of these kids are probably just into retro gaming because, again, they're retro channels on YouTube and because their brother or someone just happened to have like a Nintendo 64 lying around. So they develop this attitude that modern gaming sucks. So again, they just want to make these rant videos or gaming reviews. And the funny thing is that I usually see them do it on emulators. And as someone who has played games for a while now, as I mentioned earlier, here's a pro tip. If you play on emulators, you're not a real gamer. So if you really want to be considered a gamer, or a retro gamer for that matter, just go out and buy a NES or Super Nintendo or Mega Drive or whatever. And if you can't afford it, or your parents wouldn't buy you one, then it really doesn't matter because you're still not a real gamer. So remember when I said that all these retro children are biased towards Nintendo? Because when you look at my top 10 worst Nintendo consoles, it's blatantly obvious. When you speak the truth or your opinion on Nintendo, they will just attack you. And it's not because you made a mistake or something, it's just because they are fanboys. I still to this day think that my top 10 worst Nintendo consoles was good. Though it did have some mistakes, none of them has actually been pointed out by anyone, or at least not by the Nintendo fanboys. All the criticism I have gotten on that video are just children screaming at me. And it really just shows how obnoxious these retro kids are. So in conclusion, if you consider yourself a retro gamer and you are under the age of 15, then no one will take you seriously. Especially if you play Sonic games, because let's be serious here, nobody likes Sonic anymore.